Hi guys. Sorry for sitting so close in the last video. Sitting back a bit this time, so won't be quite so claustrophobic. This week we're going to look at answering the question, what should I write, or what should I write next? I see this appear on a lot of forums. Some people even post 4 or 5 ideas and say, what should I write next? About that, posting 4 or 5 ideas. An idea is not a story. It's not even a movie. It's an idea. It is 100% to do with the execution of said idea. You could come up to me and say, I've got this great idea of a doctor who wants to reanimate people, so he starts body snatching and stitching people together, but then the monster disappears out of his control and goes and learns to become human and then confronts the doctor about his humanity, which is basically the storyline for Frankenstein, the Mary Shelley novel. How are you going to tell that story? Maybe you're going to do it really badly. Maybe it's going to be like the character of Adam in the Buffy series. If you watch Buffy, Adam was a Frankenstein's monster stitched together from all demon and human parts. Maybe you're going to do it really bad. So the idea is, it's an idea. It's your starting point. It's the thing that gets your brain working, but it's not your story. It is 100% about your execution. So get your execution and your storytelling right, and the idea becomes irrelevant. I actually said to somebody once, give me an idea on a forum, give me some ideas, I guarantee I can come up with a story for it. And one guy thought he was he's going to trick me. He said, Nemo teams up with the mafia to stop Darth Vader from taking over the planet, but Darth Vader teams up with sharks. So, okay, bit of a stretch. So I said, okay, the most valuable resource in the universe is water. It doesn't exist on many planets. So Darth Vader needs the water. So he's going to use a low-powered version of the Death Star to melt our solar caps, which will just flood the planet, destroying all humanity, which is his opposition. The sharks are going to help him by aggressively attacking human resources as the water rises. Are going to come onto the land and distract the people from fighting off against the heat ray. Nemo is going to team with the mafia because the mafia needs the world to survive because they can't make money off humans if humans aren't here. So it's that's a really bad implementation of that story, but it was an implementation of the story. It is all how you implement and tell your story. So what should you write next? That really depends where you are on your journey as a writer. I've got a few little hints. So here we go. If you're starting out as a writer, this may be your first screenplay. You've written a few shorts, or your second screenplay, and you're thinking, what do I want to write next? This is going to be a very hard truth, but you're never going to sell your first screenplay. If you do, you are a unicorn. You are a rare thing. I wrote The Valley. It was the first feature-length screenplay I wrote, and I sold it, but I didn't sell it in the form that I wrote. It was 7 years. I wrote other screenplays in the meantime and kept going back, so I liked the idea of the story, and rewriting it. Changed the beginning, cut 11 pages, like 11 minutes off the start of the story, because I'd learnt that it was too slow even though it had an exciting incident, and it described the characters. And I rewrote scenes and rewrote characters, changed how people died, changed the concept. The idea was the same. They were always trying to head towards a safe haven. And it went from sacrifice to really looking at people become extinct like evolution because they're not willing to change to come to new environments. So it was not a hero's journey or a change arc. It was how far do you push a person outside their comfort zone for them to change? And then once they change, you challenge them to keep changing back. It was about what happens with dwindling resources when people throw away their humanity. That's what it was about. When I first wrote it, it was like a family road trip, with a bit of a disease killing people off along the way. But it changed. So even though it was the first thing I wrote, it wasn't in the same form that I sold it. I basically threw it out and kept the title and just kept rewriting it. So it wasn't really the first thing I ever wrote. So if you're going to write the first thing you ever write, okay, this is it. You're sitting there and you've done some short thing. I want to write a screenplay. What's the first thing I should write? Don't listen to the, oh, well, at the moment, Hollywood isn't buying Westerns. Don't write a Western. Yeah? If you love Westerns, write one. The most important thing for you to write is something you love. You must write something you love, because then you will finish it. You'll attack it with passion. You'll be keen to learn about the writing process. Write something you love. I'm not going to put this on the end because apparently it's very bad for the algorithm. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe, leave comments, click the thumbs up and the bell icon so you're notified when new things come about. That'd be really appreciated. And if you can, watch the video all the way to the end. The magical algorithm has been punishing me for people, leaving when I start talking about subscribing and things. So write something you love, write something you're passionate about. Write a $10 billion blockbuster. It doesn't matter because it's your first one. It is your learning experience. It's like pulling on shoes for the first time and going for a jog. You're not in a marathon. You're not competing. You're learning to run. You're learning to write in your first one. If it's 180 pages, who cares? If it's 45 pages, who cares? There's some videos on how to add pages. If it's too short, you don't have a second act. If it's too long, now here's your opportunity. Learn how to compress scenes, put scenes together, take away pointless scenes. This is your learning experience, okay? Now, you've done a few of those sort of screenplays. I always suggest you write a short film and you film a short film, even if it's on an iPhone like this. One day I'll film my whole setup on how I do this. It's a phone. It's a phone with a microphone on it. Just do some short films because you'll start to learn things like how a little couple of short scene costs just as much as a long scene. How you don't need dialogue, how actors can get dialogue across in speech. You'll start to plan shots. You'll begin to see how, well, if they're talking like that, how do I get the angles on those shots? Why is there 4 people in this conversation? That's really hard to shoot. Never write a conversation at a table because getting the angles of all the people talking and the cross-talking. So you might be able to get in a standard film, the reverse this way, then the reverse this way, and the reverse this way. When there's 4 people, there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this, there's that. It's just so hard to film and so hard to get it right in your screenplay. So don't shoot across the table. But you'll begin to do this once you've done a few short films. Write short films. Next, you're thinking, okay, I'm a marketable writer now. What should I write? Something super low budget. That will sell. And there's 2 ways you can go about that. You can find producers that have got a high turnover in IMDb. They make like 2, 3 films a year, normally low budget stuff. Reach out to them and say, look, I want to write for you. What are you looking for next? I've got some ideas, but I basically have seen what you make and I want to write something for you. They might say, send me some log lines. This might be a 6-month process, a year process for you to knock this script out. But start writing low budget because there's 1 Marvel Studios and 1 million small producers. Sometimes I've had things where an actor has come with a budget and some producers and looked for a vehicle for themselves in the low budget space because they're sure they can get it made. And this actor comes with distribution sometimes because they've had films before produced and distributed. And the distributor goes, oh, well, I know that person's, and that's the Blumhouse model. What Blumhouse will do, a writer can go to them or a director will go to Blumhouse and say, I've got Craig Griffiths in a film, he's the writer, he's the actor. And they'll say, well, okay, that sort of movie is good for like $5 million overseas, so we'll give you $1.5 million to make it. So that's now the production budget of $1.5 million because Blumhouse can get it. They'll spend a little bit on budget. They know put overseas, they're going to double their money or whatever it happens to be, plus their running expenses. And that's their model. That will happen. Find a low budget producer and work with them, or start writing low budget stuff. Stick on something like Script Revolution. The low budget producers will find you. There is more people asking for low budget than there is high budget. The next thing, write something that is challenging. Still keep the budget in mind, but think of something that's going to be very hard for you to write, something outside your comfort zone. If you love romantic comedies, try writing a comedic drama, where I saw one when I was a kid. Peter Falk was in it, about a couple who fell in love while both going through chemotherapy together, and they both knew they only had 6 months. But it was an amazing romance, an incredibly sad film, but romantic and beautiful and sad in the end. It was The Falcon and the Dragon and the Phoenix, something like that. Peter Falk film, very good. Go look it up. It's about 12 when I saw it, so it dates it in the 70s. So give yourself a challenge. The other thing you should do all along your writing journey, not in the beginning, because in the beginning you're in love with writing, write what you love, get some miles under your fingers, read. I always say this, read lots of scripts. As you read scripts, you'll begin to see different things in them as you go along. Me with guitar playing, I just wanted to be Paul Stanley out of Kiss or Eddie Van Halen when I heard him, Eric Clapton. I heard music. But as I got better at playing guitar, I began to hear the individual instruments. And then when I got quite good at guitar, you would hear technique in the same song. This will happen to you when you read screenplays. At first, you're seeing the screenplay going, wow, that's just like it was on the screen. This is amazing. And then as you get better, you begin to go, oh, I see how he's transitioning between scenes. Okay, so he has this person slam a car door or pull open a car door, and the next scene is cut into a fridge and the fridge is opening. Oh, they've done these seamless transitions. Like Gilroy does a lot of those. That's really interesting. And then when you begin to get into it, you begin to see how the action dialogue descriptions, the action descriptions and the action lines really set tone and set performance. And you don't need parentheticals, or if you do, you have parentheticals, how they talk about the delivery of a line. You begin to see things that you never saw before when you first read the first screenplay, and it's like, wow, this is just like the movie. So keep reading. Now, try to give yourself a box to write out of. For the last 2 years, I don't think it's only been going 2 years, is that 48-hour competition by WriterDuet. I use WriterDuet, so I'm on their mailing list. I did it the first year, it was a bit of fun. The second year, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I thought, no, I really love being put in a box and told to write my way out of it. So I'll put a script together quickly in an hour. I'll put the link to it below. Because I put it together so quickly, there's a comma where there should be a full stop and a full stop where there should be a comma. And it's not a great script, but its constraints were there. 3 pages, had to have sunglasses in it. These are my old glasses, if they're not my new ones. So I'm not looking too good. So 3 pages, had to have sunglasses in it, and had to be a now or never theme. So of course I put the words now and never to hit the reader over the head that's the theme. And it put me now, and that's a box that I had to write my way out of. It's a bit of fun. A couple of hours, iPad, Saturday morning. So quick recap. If you're starting out, write something you love. Don't worry about the market. Don't worry if you want zombies, write zombies. There's a million zombie things. As you get better, start writing so you can sell something. Don't say, no, I've got this story, it's going to change cinema. It's never going to change cinema. We are not that good. So write something that will sell. Write to a market, write to a budget. I'll put the 2 videos up at the end of this. One of them is how to write a low budget screenplay, and the other one will be about editing. Write to a low budget. And once you've got some reputation, you've sold 1 or 2, you can write whatever you want. People will come to you and say, I love how you do this. Could you do this for me? And then you can start navigating your career. Your career isn't what you have now. My brother, has jokingly done the old line that it took him like 40 years to become an overnight success. He got a TV show after doing stand-up comedy for 25 years. When he was first starting out, he used to think he had a career. He wasn't. He was a working comedian. If he couldn't turn up to a performance, they'd grab anyone else. Calvin de Grey, Billy Jude, any other working comics. He was not being sought out. He was just on the comedy circuit. It took him all that time until they said, we want you to do a television show. So you don't have a career at the moment. Hate to burst your bubble. So just write what you love. Get miles under your fingers. Then start writing something that's marketable. Then start thinking about how you're going to improve your craft. It doesn't matter what you're writing now. If you're a new writer, write what you love. Learn your craft. then move towards something marketable, then approach directors, then always get the market in mind and start challenging yourself. That's what you need to write right now. Okay, guys, thanks very much. As always, keep writing.